Hey, what's up, everyone? This is not just Jarvis Joe, and I'm going to be talking about Xander, who we got recently. I'm going to talk about a little bit about his, what he's built with, inheritance potential, and then build. So, Xander himself is, I think, based off Alexander the Great. At least I think he is. His art here is, I don't know. He looks more brutish in my opinion. Like looks more like a barbarian in his art here. I can't describe. I don't know why, but I mean obviously his armor doesn't indicate that, but that's whatever. So when you look at what he comes with, his bread and butter as a 5-star unit, obviously this doesn't work if he's not. However, as a freebie unit, he's really good because I think he's the only freebie unit you get who has a distant counter effect because he comes with Siegfried. And Siegfried's is basically like Ryoma's Raijinato or Hector comes with distant counter. It basically gives him that distant counter effect, and that's so good on so many levels, especially when you look at his stats, which I'll get to in a second. He comes with Blazing Light, not my thing, not even like an inheritable option in my opinion, and Armored Blow, which works well with the side defense and spur defense. So this helps with if you have 2 tanks on your team and you want to tank some hits. So when you look at his stats, Xander, by the way, 44 HP, which is a decent chunk to complement his 37 defense. So with Armor Blow, that gives him like what, 43, 42, something like that. I don't know. I don't want to do the math. The only downfall is his low speed and resistance especially because he can take magic hits and his Siegfried allows him to attack at least once, and his HP is high enough so that could happen unless Lin probably could one shot him. But other than that, like he can take hits, he can take magic hits, but it's just very low. It's very low. But what makes Xander a pretty good tank is he can have fortified cavalry and honed cavalry. That makes him a pretty good tank because the honed cavalry gives him that's 30 speed, so he doesn't get outsped by a lot of units. And the fortified cavalry gives it's the defense that's really the key here. It goes to like skyrocketing levels. It's a pretty high defense. It's not bad. That's +6, so that's a 43 defense. That's high. That's pretty high. So that's not bad. And then 44 HP. So like when you look at his stats, you can already see he's built to tank, and he's built to give hits and take hits. So that's what a tank is. I discussed as a unit by himself. The only thing that really works is going for him is the Armor Blow, and even in my opinion, that's not great. But the best thing is Siegfried. So in terms of inheritability, he doesn't have a lot. Like you want to inherit Armored Blow, like you get like 2 free Gunters at the beginning of the game. You just give that. You got a Katri at the beginning. You got a Katri recently. She comes with Armor Blow. But you do get 2 Xanders. I'm gonna keep the 3-star one. I'm gonna use him for future Grand Hero battles. I'm gonna train him after I finish all the quests and stuff. Spur defense. It's situational. You don't want 2 tank. You don't really want 2 tanks on the same team. I mean, that's at least for me. That's how I feel. Especially because they're gonna be cavalry themed, and there's a lot of maps out there that really deter cavalry teams because of the amount of trees there are. So I just want to put that out there. I would probably prefer threat and attack, especially because it complements his high defense, and you can keep the Armor Blow. And that's just me, right? So I went fast forwarding. So yeah, I mean inheritability, not much. You can't inherit the Siegfried to anyone else, so there's not much to talk about in terms of inheriting. In terms of build, when you look at his stats, you want him to take hits and give hits, right? So he's always gonna come neutral, so no worry about IVs and stuff. What you see is what you get. So the one of the reasons why Hector is so good with this encounter is because his Armats gives him a quick riposte, um, quick riposte effect, in that he gets a follow up attack no matter what. And he has the HP to live a lot of hits, so that's what makes him tough to defeat, unless you use magic units. So Xander is pretty much a similar build. He doesn't have as much a high HP or defense or attack, but he's pretty similar in that sense. Like he's built all very very similarly to Hector. His only issue, he's red, and there's a saturation of red units, and that's why blue units are such in high demand. So Sully could tank his hits. Sharina could definitely take hits, and his nemesis are probably Lind or Ursula, depending on the Ursula build. Even if she had Warwolf, that's already good enough. So yeah, that's just something to keep an eye out for. So if you want to invest the least amount SP into your Xander, just give him threat and attack as a C slot, and then it combos with the armor blow. Obviously, you're keeping Siegfried. I mean, the only other weapon I would argue you could give him is like Brave Sword, but like Siegfried's definitely the one to have because that frees up an A slot that you can replace if you want. And the B slot, I would argue Quick Riposte is probably the best skill for Xander to have because he definitely has enough HP to tank a lot of hits, especially his defense, and that allows him to, do another follow up attack, and it just annoys it just annoys a lot of people, me included. So Quick Riposte is definitely the B slot I would give him. If you want to invest the least amount of SP, right? So A slot armor blow, B slot Quick Riposte, C slot threat and attack. However, what I think is quite optimal is you can give him Siegfried, give him Bonfire because his defense is high. I guess you could give him Draconic Aura too. You could give him Luna, but I feel, or you could give him Luna or Moonbow, but I feel either Ignis or Bonfire is probably one of the better skills to give him. In my opinion, obviously. Draconic Aura is not too bad, or Dragon Fang, but they're a little bit longer. And Draconic Aura is not. It's 30% of the attack stat. And you definitely you never write off Luna or Moonbow. Like a minus defense sometimes is a lot better than increase in attack. But that's just how it is. In terms of A slots, other than Armor Blow, which is not too bad on Xander, I would probably give him Death Blow. You could give him Fury, but that kind of takes out his tankiness because the HP loss is a lot. It's a lot more. Like he can already tank hits. You don't need to give him a reason to lose HP when he doesn't need it. Yeah, I think those two are pretty much it. Like I would argue Death Blow and Fury to a lesser extent. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's really not much else. I guess you could get him a Defiant skill too if you want. You could give him Fortress. Fortress works too. Not like you want him to dish out damage too, right? So I don't know, but I'm really unsure about Fortress. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I would definitely say Death Blow is your best option. Then your B slot is Quick Riposte is I think the optimal one. However, if not, you can always go with a breaker. So either a Tome Breaker, so you don't get doubled by Tome units, but except the ones that you're weak to. So you can give him, a green Tome unit, or like you can give him green Tome Breaker from Henry, or maybe like a red Tome Breaker from Odin. However, I think I would probably give him Sword Breaker from Sully. Like you get it from Sully, and Abel, I think. You can get Sword Breaker, and this is perfect for Xander because of the saturation of sword units that are in the game, especially in the arena. Even enemies, like I argue that the most amount of units you'll see, what weapon type is the sword, especially in the higher ones. So Sword Breaker definitely works if you don't want to give Quick Riposte. or if you don't have the resources available. And you could give Axe Breaker if you want. A little bit of overkill, but that's fine. And C slot, I would definitely prioritize either the threat and attack, which actually works really well, or you can give him threat and defense, which combos with the death blow. Threat and attack, armor blow work, but you can have death blow and threat and attack. That's fine. Like that can work too. Well, like ultimately you give threat and defense and death blow to Xander because you're trying to dish out damage as well as take it, and he can take a bunch of hits. And the bread and butter for him too is he's a cavalry unit, so he works well in cavalry teams, especially home cavalry. Home cavalry would just give him huge offensive boosts, and the fortified cavalry just increases his tankiness, even his resistance to a certain degree. But I would argue the home cavalry is more useful because it gives him more speed. So he hits the 30 where he doesn't get outsped by a lot of units. So yeah, that's everything I had to talk about Xander. There's really not much else I can say. Thank you for watching, and later days.